Nestle has been in Sri Lanka for over 100 years. We have been committed to enhancing the lives of the local community since the very beginning. We purchase hundreds of thousands of litres of milk from 18,000 farmers every day. Committed to increasing fresh milk production in Sri Lanka, we help local dairy farmers produce milk that meets our high-quality standards. Nestle, empowering Sri Lankan dairy farmers.
A very good evening to you. This is Newsfirst Prime Time News coming to you live on MTV Sports and Shakti TV from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. I am Shaheen Jurangpati.
And I am Nicola De Zoiza. Now, Amnesty International submits its report on Sri Lanka to the UN Human Rights Council. The report calls on the government of Sri Lanka to ensure the protection of freedom of expression and freedom of peaceful assembly.
Yeah, that's right. Now, Newsfirst has a comprehensive report on this story. But first, let's start off with a look at your headlines.
Democratic Party leader Sarath Fonseca claims that the UWA Provincial Council election was rigged. President to leave for Vatican tomorrow to extend an official invitation to Pope Francis to visit Sri Lanka. Chief Opposition Whip also part of the entourage. Many areas in the country to receive rain. 2 killed in weather-related accidents. Speaking exclusively to Newsfirst, Jayalalta's lawyer Ram Jethmalani says motivations behind Jairam's sentencing will come to light in the future. The road to Washington is through Delhi. A statement from Dr. Dayan Chatilaka. Hong Kong activists, officials continue standoff on China's National Day.
In a top story tonight, Democratic Party leader Sarath Fonseca claims that the UWA Provincial Council election was rigged. At a media briefing convened today, he noted that there are major disparities between the number of votes his party secured in some electorates and the number of affidavits they had received from people who had voted for them in these electorates.
We commenced an exercise on the 25th to record affidavits from people who came forward willingly to give them an opportunity to cast their vote for our party via an affidavit. We couldn't do this in the Monragala district as a result of state terrorism, but we were able to do this in 6 electorates in the Badulla district. Our district leader's electorate is Wallimadal. We secured 429 votes there, but he has about 500 relatives there alone. 1,020 people came to his house over 5 days and gave affidavits that they had voted for us. In the Badulla electorate, we had 199 votes. However, we have received about 500 affidavits from urban areas of Badulla alone. In the Veeru electorate, we had 223 votes, but we have received 510 affidavits. In Halyala, we received 211 votes, but we received 486 affidavits. We received 121 votes in Passara, but we have received 399 affidavits. In Haputale, we have 233 votes, but we have received 368 affidavits. The world did not end, and neither did anything major happen in this country. But a party which received 275,000 votes 3 to 4 months ago has received only 6,000 votes 3 months later. We did not say that we would win, and neither did we think that we would win outright. Our complaint is that the votes we have received have not been given to us. The Elections Commissioner is certainly aware of this corrupt system. We understand now that he is a corrupt, spineless Elections Commissioner. He must accept the responsibility. We will take the matter to court, seeking a system to prevent this from happening.
A
group of UNP representatives met with Elections Commissioner Mahinda Deshapriya today.
The meeting, which was held at the Elections Secretariat, was attended by UNP General Secretary Satyanayaka, UNP Assistant Leader Ravi Karunanayaka, Leadership Council Chairman Karu Jayasuriya and MP Joseph Michael Pereira. We asked the Elections Commissioner to take steps immediately to ensure that public officials are not used for election campaigning. The second request that we made is that the international observers be called in from the day that the date of the election is announced. There must be a specific amount of time between the presidential election and the announcement. And we told him that we need at least 45 days for our campaign. This is because the government could attempt to use state resources and state media and hold a rushed election.
ඒ වගේම ආණ්ඩුවේ දේපල පාවිච්චි කරමින් කෙටි කාලීන මැතිවරණ ව්‍යාපාරයක් කරන්න ආණ්ඩුව උත්සාහ කරන්න පුළුවන්.
The National Children's Day celebration was held in Maharagama today under the auspices of President Mahinda Rajapaksa. The event, organised by the Ministry of Child Development and Women's Affairs, was held under the theme Protect Us with Love. A special flag created to mark the National Children's Day was presented to President Mahinda Rajapaksa today, along with the first day cover. The flag and first day cover were presented to the President to symbolise the work done by the President for the children of Sri Lanka.
The media does not usually show the good things that take place in the country. We should not be amazed by this because it has been happening for a long time. Some media institutions believe that complimenting the good work done by the government would benefit the government. They have such a narrow mindset. There are injustices that occur sometimes. However, does the entire society have to hate us because of this? This is wrong. Everyone suffers from difficulties and financial issues sometimes.
Meanwhile, President Mahinda Rajapaksa will depart for the Vatican tomorrow on an official tour. Now, the aim of the visit is to officially invite His Holiness Pope Francis to tour Sri Lanka in January. The delegation that will accompany the President to the Vatican also includes Chief Opposition Whip John Amarathunga. During a media briefing held today, the parliamentarian shared these views on the visit.
I was invited to be a part of the delegation to officially invite the Holy Father to Sri Lanka. When I got the invitation, I presented it to my leader, and after thinking about it, he granted approval. Approval was given to take part in a religious capacity. We agreed to this for the entire Catholic community in Sri Lanka. The public should be aware of this because this is not a move which will signal a crossover or that I support the President. Opposition leader Ranil Wickremesinghe has arrived in the UK to attend the Conservative Party conference. The office of the opposition leader announced that Wickremesinghe met with Dr. Liam Fox today. In a statement, the office of the opposition leader said that Ranil Wickremesinghe had also met with Boris Johnson, the Lord Mayor of London.
The BBC Sinhala service, quoting a senior official at the Ministry of External Affairs, reports that Dr. Chris Nonis has acquiesced to returning to his duties as High Commissioner to the United Kingdom only if action is taken against the MP who assaulted him. Recent media reports indicated that Dr. Nonis had submitted his letter of resignation following an incident where he was allegedly assaulted by a UPFA parliamentarian in New York.
When quizzed by Newsfirst journalists at a media briefing convened yesterday, Cabinet spokesperson Minister Keheliya Ramukwella initially stated that he had got to know that Dr. Nonis had resigned his position. However, following a phone conversation with the Minister of External Affairs during the media briefing, Minister Ramukwella recanted his earlier statement and noted that there had been no official notification of Dr. Nonis's resignation.
The news was all over Sri Lanka that the Foreign Ministry spokesperson had noted that Dr. Chris Nonis has resigned 3 days ago. If you include today, that is 4 days. What is happening in this country? The Minister of External Affairs is not in the know. The Minister of External Affairs has come to a position where he can no longer function as the minister.
The UK's Deputy High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Laura Davies, claims to have been followed during a recent visit to the East. Davies made this revelation in a blog post on the UK Foreign and Commonwealth Office blog's website.
In the narrative, titled Looking Over My Shoulder, Davies writes that during her visit 2 weeks ago to Arugambe, Potuville, Oluville, Kalmune, Batiklo and Trincomalee, she met with government and political interlocutors, humanitarian workers and civil society organizations, and visited temples, beaches and hospitals. Noting that the visit was not controversial and was by no means a secret, she writes, quote, "It's my job to understand what's happening in Sri Lanka so that I can advise my government as well as British nationals planning to travel to or invest in Sri Lanka," unquote. She says that it gradually became impossible to ignore the fact that she was being watched. She writes that to make matters worse, quote, "It was clear that the people I was meeting were having follow-up visits or phone calls asking what I had done and said," unquote. The UK's Deputy High Commissioner to Sri Lanka describes some of these incidents as almost comic, but notes, however, that other instances were clearly frightening to individuals and their families. She writes that some newspapers have since speculated that she was seeking out testimony for the UN Human Rights Council investigation. In response, Davies notes, quote, "We have absolute confidence in the investigation team's ability to source and validate its own testimony. I'm not about to try to do their job for them," unquote. Journalists posed questions regarding the UK Deputy High Commissioner's statement at a media briefing convened at the Ministry of Defence and Urban Development today.
We have not received any report of this, but security forces do not provide security to any person unless there is a request. I do not think or I do not see any allegations being levelled at the security forces. Are there allegations? Well, there were a lot of people who followed me today. The people going in their vehicles on the road, that is.
Meanwhile, the Professional Web Journalists Association, or PWJA, claims that a workshop organized for web journalists had been prevented from going ahead with the intervention of the police. The PWJA notes that the workshop was to be held over the weekend at a hotel in Negombo.
The Professional Web Journalists Association claims that the workshop was organized to raise awareness among professional online journalists on internet security.
We booked the location for a 2-day workshop. We paid a deposit. We were later informed that they could not let us hold the workshop there because of police intervention. The police had called them and said that if they let the workshop go ahead, there would be problems. In addition, a group of officers in civil attire had gone there and told the management that this cannot be allowed. As a result, we were unable to hold the workshop for professional web journalists. We had to cancel it.
Reuters, quoting the Action Committee for Media Freedom, reported yesterday that the police had allegedly threatened the owner of the hotel. Although attempts were made to contact the hotel management, they refused to comment on the matter.
There have been several similar occasions where the police have illegally prevented workshops for journalists from being held. In truth, the strategy employed by the police to do this is extremely low. They organize groups of people themselves to disrupt these workshops using false demonstrations. This has happened continuously. As a free media movement, we categorically condemn the police intervening and interfering in this way.
However, police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rona has rejected these allegations. Reuters quoted SSP Rohana as saying that the police had no involvement in the matter. Amnesty International, in its report to the United Nations Human Rights Council, which will be looking into Sri Lanka's human rights record for a 5th time on the 7th of October, notes that the Sri Lankan government should ensure the protection of the rights to freedom of expression, freedom of peaceful assembly and freedom of association of all individuals and groups, regardless of their opinions or political affiliation. The report notes that the government should investigate and prosecute the perpetrators of harassment, intimidation and attacks against those exercising these rights.
In its 40-page report, Amnesty International notes that the government should guarantee and protect the rights to peaceful assembly of the Tamil minority, including social organizing to peacefully advocate for justice or commemorate the victims of the conflict. The report also calls on the Sri Lankan government to cooperate with the OHCHR investigation on Sri Lanka, mandated to undertake investigations into alleged violations of human rights and related crimes by both parties to the conflict. Amnesty International has also called for the repealing of the Prevention of Terrorism Act and abolishment of the system of administrative detention. Other non-governmental organizations are scheduled to submit their reports on Sri Lanka to the UNHRC in the coming days.
Moving on to other news, Jethmalani, the lawyer representing the imprisoned former Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Jayalalitha Jairam, says it appears that there are ulterior motives behind the decision not to take up Jayalalitha's bail application today. Upon exiting the court, Jethmalani noted that he would be lodging complaints with the President and the Prime Minister.
Jethmalani, one of the highest paid lawyers in India and former Justice Minister in the BJP, has flown in from London especially to appear for the former Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Jayalalitha's. Now, speaking the news, exclusive news first, earlier this evening, Jethmalani said the motivations behind Jayalalitha Jairam's sentencing will come to light in the near future.
Whatever appeals are to be admitted, notice has to be issued, and our bail application has to be supposed to be happening today. The Chief Justice ordered it that it should before this judge, and she came to the court at 10:30 sharp, sat there, but obviously she was displeased with what the Chief Justice had done, and she quietly made some excuse and left. He said, no, this matter should go before a two-judge bench after the holiday. 7th of October, some other judge will hear this matter, and the bail application will also be argued on that day.
The bail application submitted on behalf of Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Jayalalitha Jayaram yesterday was taken up in court today. Although the lawyers came prepared to make submissions, the Karnataka High Court judge noted that since this was a special case, it would be referred to a bench of the Court of Appeal. The prosecution noted their objection to bail being granted to J. Jayalalitha. The bail application will be taken up on the 7th of October. Submitting another petition, Jayalalitha's lawyers requested that the bail application be taken up this evening. However, media reported that this petition was not accepted by the court. Protests were held today as well against the 4-year prison sentence given to J. Jayalalitha, who was found guilty of the charge of accumulating wealth disproportionate to her known sources of income. Fishermen in Rameshwaram were among those who protested, demanding her release. Indian media reports say that 19 people have died of heart attacks, shock and suicides following Jayalalitha's imprisonment.
In other local news, 4 people have been killed in a single lightning strike. Condition has been rushed to the Muruvaka hospital for treatment. The police say that 5 people working in the field in the area had sought shelter in a temporary shack during a thunder shower. They were struck by lightning when one of them attempted to use a mobile phone. Meanwhile, the Disaster Management Centre says that the landslide warning that was issued for 5 districts continues to remain in place due to the extreme weather conditions prevalent in the areas. The Met Department meanwhile predicts that showers could occur in a number of locations around the country today as well.
A woman was killed in the Indigahavava area in Eppawala, Anuradhapura following a lightning strike. The unfortunate incident was reported when the victim was returning from a corn plantation. Meanwhile, a 3-wheel driver died opposite the Colombo University last night when a tree branch collapsed on the 3-wheeler in which he was travelling in. The accident occurred at around 9 p.m. The deceased has been identified as a 48-year-old resident of Bandaragama. A van was also damaged in the accident. Water levels in the Wilgoda area, which was inundated following torrential rains experienced yesterday, have begun to recede, according to our correspondent. Area residents charged that the area was inundated as a result of the drainage system being blocked. Heavy rains also inundated Yantampalava, Velangolla in Kurunagala yesterday.
All the homes were inundated by about 4 to 5 feet of water. They keep saying they will repair the drains, but it is all talk and no action.
Meanwhile, our correspondents in Kurunagala reported that rainfall was experienced today as well in a number of locations around the district. The Eknaligoda area along the Kuruvita Eratna road was blocked for a few hours due to an earth slip. A tree which collapsed in the Moranakanda area in Galigamur caused property damage to a house. Meanwhile, an earth slip damaged 2 houses in the Labugala area in Peherambe, Galigamur. Our camera crews were able to capture the manner in which clean-up efforts were underway in several areas in Mathura which were inundated. The Department of Meteorology predicts that thunder showers can be expected in the island tomorrow due to the influence of the Intertropical Convergence Zone. The Met Department predicts that over 100 millimeters of rain could be experienced in the Sabaragamuwa, Central, Southern and Uva provinces.
Wildlife officers rescued 5 wild elephants that had fallen into an agrarian well in Morogolagama, Kakirau today. Wildlife officers say that this is the first time they have faced such an incident. Now, among the elephants rescued were 3 calves.
Horopola in Morogolagama, Kakirau is an area that is constantly under threat from wild elephant incursions. Wild elephants from near the Kalawava frequent this area because of the chaina cultivations that they see as an ideal food source. A herd of wild elephants had encroached on the Morogolagama area last night, whence 5 of them had fallen into an agrarian well. The rest of the herd did not leave the area and milled around the agrarian well. A farmer in Morogolagama had approached the vicinity at about 10:30 last night to protect his chaina cultivation, at which point he was attacked by a wild elephant. He was rescued by neighbouring farmers.
The tusker ran at me and I fell. I left my bicycle behind and ran.
Wildlife officers in Kakirawa and the police engaged in a joint operation to rescue the 5 elephants trapped in the agrarian well. Wildlife officers said the herd was chased into the nearby reserve. On the 3rd of January 2008, wildlife officers rescued an elephant and a calf from another agrarian well in Morogol Lagama. A farmer in the area was killed when he was attacked by one of the rescued elephants.
In business news, politicians charge that reducing electricity prices for one consumer group is an attempt to hoodwink the public. They point out that if the electricity price reduction was given to all consumer groups, it would have caused a reduction of prices in goods and provided relief to the general public. Although an announcement was made on the 16th of last month that electricity tariffs would be reduced by 25%, only household consumers have received this reduction.
They said that electricity prices will be reduced by 25%. Industrialists, businessmen and service providers were waiting for the reduction in electricity tariffs. Prices of electricity have to reduce in order for the prices of goods to reduce. The reduction of electricity prices could provide a great deal of relief. Prior to the election, the government lied to the public and now they are trying to implement these lies.
When the president steps onto the stage, he will not say that this much will be given to the hotel sector, this much for the temples and churches. The biggest issue was being faced by household consumers. The other consumers had no issue. The president stated that electricity tariffs of household consumers would be reduced by 25%. If they expect the president to state specifically how it will affect each sector, then it is wrong.
All prices will reduce in the coming months because this is a trick before the elections. If the government remains in power, all these reduced prices will return to normal following the election.
This is not the first time that the people were fooled using such lies. During May Day celebrations last year, he said that prices of electricity would be reduced. However, the benefits of this was not passed on to the public. They might temporarily reduce this and then increase it about 2 weeks later by 5 times.
Leader of the National Unity Front, Azad Saleh, called on the US Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Michelle J. Season, in Kandy yesterday.
We discussed the current political atmosphere in the country and matters like the injustices caused to the Muslim community and the attacks on minority Christian and Hindu religious places of worship. The government is in a situation where they would attack Buddhist temples that do not support the government. That is what was mainly discussed. I discussed the current situation of the country with the ambassador.
An event to celebrate the annual Durgotsav festival was held in Colombo yesterday. The event was organized by the Colombo Durgotsav Cultural Association. MTV and NBC are the media sponsors for the celebrations, which will go on until the 5th of October.
Durgotsav or Sharadotsav is an annual cultural festival in South Asia, celebrating the triumph of goddess Durga over Mahishasura. Goddess Durga has been worshipped by the Hindus to invoke supreme power, epitomizing the triumph of all that is good over evil. Minister Vasudeva Nanayakkara was the chief guest of the celebrations held yesterday. A distinguished gathering including Group Director CEO of the Capital Maharaja Organization Mohan Barara, President of the Colombo Durgotsav Cultural Association and CEO of MTV Aditya Ray and Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka YK Singha were in attendance.
Well, there are these love, kindness and such other immortal values in our lives. Brotherhood, caring, sharing, these are values which are immortal and eternal. And I believe that is what is signified by good. And therefore we will discover what ultimately is good and thereby amass all the strength at our command in order that we may collectively defeat the evil that arises more often now in the present society than before.
There are so many links that bind people in Sri Lanka and India, and the Honourable Minister referred to Lord Vishnu and Krishna. So I think it's extremely important that we all get together and celebrate this auspicious occasion and celebrate the triumph of good over evil.
Celebrations for the Durgotsav festival were held this morning as well. A special discussion was held yesterday on the land problems faced by people from the estates who had settled in the Kilinochchi and Mullaitivu districts. A group including MP Chandrakumara Murugesu participated in the discussion held in Ulavanur, Kilinochchi.
The estate people who have settled in the northern province and have been living there for an extended period say they have not been given deeds for these lands. MP Sri Ranga, the General Secretary of the Citizens Front, had previously brought this problem to the attention of Parliament.
Following the
unrest in 1958 and 83, residents of Kegol and Ratnapura moved to the Kilinochchi and Mullaitivu areas. They were banished from their lands. However, your proposal does not take into account their plight. We are looking at how we can reclaim private lands without speaking about these individuals. The minister thanked MP Sumandiran for pointing out the shortcomings in the act. When Chandrakumara was speaking, he stated that he does not agree with the act and called on the minister to amend the act. He is a member of the government, yet he is saying that amendments need to be made. Why did the government bring this act forward hastily without even discussing its contents with the ministers and other parties in the alliance? How will this benefit the people? Minorities see this act as one which was brought forward to reclaim the lands of the Tamil-speaking people. The minorities will be affected through this act.
At the discussion held yesterday, MP Chandrakumar Murugesu noted that while the settlers will be recompensed, the lands must be returned to their rightful owners. The government is taking steps to pay compensation to them. These lands will be prohibited to these people and will be returned to the rightful owners. I believe that the futures of the approximately 1,000 families living in this area will be decided by the end of December.
Speaking at an event held in Aryale, Jaffna today, Minister Rajitha Senaratne expressed the following sentiments.
Securing your rights is only a matter of time. We wish to tell you that even if you do not have these rights today, we are working with the President to ensure that you will have these rights tomorrow. Our government is a large alliance and there are people who have various opinions within this alliance. In the future, we will, amid all these differing ideologies, work towards winning this fight and securing your rights. The Tamil organization today is working towards securing the rights of the Tamil people politically. They are taking this struggle forward together with us when possible and separately when required. Chief Minister Vigneswaran is an intellectual. He understands how this political problem should be resolved responsibly. The President is carrying out a major development program for you in the north, and we are aware that this development alone is not enough for you. What you are asking for is your pride. That is your first demand. One of the primary differences between mankind and animals is this matter of pride. And it is for this pride that Tamil leaders have fought for since the 1950s. I have a large number of friends who are Tamils, and not one of them want to break this country apart or to secede from this country. They wish to live as a people within this nation with the same pride that the Sinhalese live in. I meet leaders of the Tamil diaspora when I go abroad, and even they have clearly told me that when they retire, they want to come back to Sri Lanka, settle in Jaffna, and invest the money they have earned in this country. Their wish is to spend the twilight years of their lives here.
In sports news, Sri Lanka advanced to the semi-finals of the men's 7-a-side rugby event at the Asian Games in South Korea today.
Sri Lanka defeated China in the quarterfinals 24-19 and will lock horns against the #1 ranked team in Asia, Japan, tomorrow.
Here's more details from the Asian Games.
Sri Lanka's Gayanthika Weeratne, who qualified for the finals of the women's 800 meters track event at the 17th Asian Games, was placed 7th in the finals, clocking a time of 2 minutes 6.21 seconds. Margarita Mukasheva from Kazakhstan won gold in the event with a new games record of 1 minute 59.02 seconds. Meanwhile, Chandrika Subhashini was placed 6th in the women's 200 meters track event today. She finished the event in 23.65 seconds, and it was Kazakhstan's Olga Shafranova who won gold, clocking a time of 23.02 seconds. Sri Lanka's hopes of clinching a medal at the Asian Games were shattered as medal hopeful Nadika Lakmali could only come in the 5th in the women's javelin throw. She recorded a distance of 57.7 meters.
The government has declared Monday the 6th of October a public holiday in lieu of the Hajj festival. The Hajj festival will be celebrated by Muslims in the country on the 6th of October. Now, earlier it had been scheduled to be held on Sunday the 5th of October, and the Department of Muslim Affairs along with Colombo Grand Mosque declared Hajj to be celebrated next Monday.
And with that we wrap up the primetime news for tonight. Thank you for joining us. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Nicola De Zoiza.
And I'm Shahin Durampati. Good night and take care.